Do you trade I guess you traded AVGR. I saw that one picture. You got that quick spike up to 11.
Oh, yesterday?
No,
Yeah.
just this morning. It's quick spike up to 11. Oh yeah, also after hours as well.
Did it did
Yeah,
it
you
go to
got that
11?
one as well, right
Oh
up to
yeah, it did
12.
go. Yeah. Yeah, where did you see that? Where
I
did
was
I
in
hear that?
RT's chat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in his chat too. I lurk around.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know where I posted what I posted.
I was like, what, how are you, why are you still trading? Like, how are you still looking at the market in after
Um,
hours?
It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
what was I doing yesterday? I was just hanging out. I trade in the morning, I go to the gym, I do my stuff. Lately, I've been doing pretty well to not come back later. Yesterday I did, and I took one trade on DTOC as CCG was squeezing up, going crazy.
Yeah.
Um, I took a trade on DTOC. I can start sharing my screen. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, the host disabled it, and the host doesn't seem to be here, so um,
Yep.
I took one trade on DTOC where it had halted down at like 28.35 or something like that, and it resumed flat 28.35. So I took
Yeah.
300 shares and I got filled on the ask at 29.30. Um, and I was like the only person who bought anything. Next minute I know it's down at 25.50 and I'm bailing for an $1,100 loss.
No.
Um, but then a few minutes later, it started squeezing back up. I took a trade from 30, 300 shares again. I took some out at like 31 something going into the halt up, and then it resumed at 35. So I managed. Oh, and actually, I'm in this DTCK right now, which is garbage. Unsurprisingly, it's an American IPO. Um, 1 second. Straight into the halt down. Awesome. Um, I took the halt going up on DTOC and I went from a negative 1100 to negative 350 on it at least. Um, and then I was just hanging out, just doing my afternoon stuff. I had a meeting. I was still just in front of my computer doing other things, like YouTube. I started seeing AVGR squeezing and I got in at like 879 and got out with the last of my shares for like a few dollars a share. But then I tried to buy the pullback and it wasn't a pullback. It just went straight down, as you
Yeah.
saw. So I made another 1,000 on that move up, and then I gave half of that back. So it was like kind of frustrating that it just went straight down, but at least I still made 500 more than I had before I took those trades. So,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Quick
Uh,
question for you on that trade. I'm actually curious. Just a second. Let me mute.
Hmm.
what'd you say?
Yeah, just a quick question. What you saw on that trade on after hours? How did how did you like? Clearly, I saw some entries that you took on
Yeah,
that stock that was so extended and in like a
extended.
market. Yeah, that in a market that isn't very fares very well
There
with
was
the front
one.
side parabolic moves. So I was just curious, like, what are you seeing on the level two to get in at that level?
There was
Like,
one specific thing that I saw, which was a 25,000 share bid that
okay,
continued pushing it higher. And I saw it come in like the sevens and low eights.
uh-huh,
Um, and like you just said, I was like, there's no way I can get in up here. And then I saw it come back in. So I was like, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
yeah. So
uh,
you then you hit the market or the ask, or you can't
um,
do market, so you had to do ask
I
or bid, right?
I don't remember, but I would imagine I probably hit the ask.
It was all a
And
blur.
and then you were just kind of monitoring the level two to make
Mhm.
sure that order is still there as you're in the trade, and then
Yeah, pretty
if
much.
that
Like
order ever disappears, it gets sold into, you sell into that.
exactly. Yeah, I took the trade because we saw it break. Well, now that Alex is here, maybe I can share my screen.
Yeah, and that was the first thing I did when I got in. I was like, oh no.
And this
That's
is going to
stupid
resume
setting.
at 09:31, so I need to pay attention to that. But
DTCK.
yeah, so that was this morning. This was yesterday. So I saw it breaking out here, and I was like, "That's interesting. It's coming back to view up," but I didn't expect anything more than that out of it. And then once it started kind of getting into the mid sevens, is where I started seeing some bids coming in, and then it broke high of day. And it paused for a second, as you can see here. I can't remember if I was in the 80s or at 79, but I was in right around here as I saw that 25,000 share bid come in. And then in that case, if I'm ever in a trade like this, especially after hours, where I can't really bail that easily, this is the type of trade where I need to see it going immediately higher and like hopefully a lot higher pretty much the second I get into that trade. And it did.
Yeah.
So I was like, great, that was the right trade to take. And at that point, there's no adding. It's only scaling out as it slows down on the way up.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know
Wow.
why, but DOS doesn't really seem to show trades from the day before. See if I can get back there and see that. Yeah, unfortunately. I do have a screenshot of it,
You
actually.
you have the screenshot, or probably on Trader View. It probably shows that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just like that's a ballsy trade. That's a
It
ballsy trade after
was.
hours.
It
Yeah.
was for sure. I wish that this wouldn't stop doing what it's doing. It should be opening in 5 seconds, though, nearly flat. And I'm out. So I took this trade here. Actually, that was a nice trade. So this halted up. I had zero interest in this earlier because it's an American IPO. And when's the last time we saw an American IPO do anything interesting, unfortunately? But it halted up here. It resumed at 649. Pushed up to 7, dipped. I bought at 630, smaller size because I didn't want to ruin my day. And then I sold through here, but I was holding just 100 shares of the 800 that I bought going into this halt. And I should have sold, I guess, but I wasn't expecting it to have just an entire retracement candle. So it's looking like it's trying to test the upside now, but AVGR yesterday. Let's see. Where would it be? Trades? No, it'd be, let's see.
It should be under viewing the trade, that specific trade.
Yeah. So that was this one.
Yeah, there you go.
Here it is.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
this
that's
was
still that's the
crazy.
more. Yeah, that was. Oh, it doesn't show. It doesn't show after hours, huh?
There
I
might
know
be
it
an
doesn't.
option for that.
It doesn't show it at all, does it?
Go to that
I forgot
setting
about that.
icon on the bottom right.
Go to what?
Yeah, there's this gear icon. Let me see. Time zones, no session. Because on the actual trading view, you can add pre-market.
Yeah.
But I guess no. Okay, I don't think you can here.
That's unfortunate.
It could be under classic charts too. What's that?
Yeah, I looked at that. That's just their old charts that they show,
Which are pretty nice as well. I like these charts.
they are nice, yeah, but it doesn't seem to be
They're great
showing
to
what I want
print.
it to. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but yeah, I did well on that. I had some nice trades on that. So I got in just with my one entry at wherever it was, I think 879. Sold here just as it popped over 9, sold all the way up.
Oh yeah.
Got a nice exit there. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways. So
I missed the first part, Danny. How's the like running P&L going in general over the last
like since last week.
yeah, since the little bit of a headache you've had, which I've also had last
Yeah.
week for me was traumatizing as well.
Yeah. This is the first couple of days in a row that I've had since I had that major red day and kind of tougher streak. I've been doing pretty well since, I mean, last week was decent overall in terms of like green versus red days. I actually finally only had one red day last week on Wednesday, and it was manageable. It was like 600.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, like that's a very normal, very acceptable red day for me. And then Friday, I don't remember how Friday went. How did Friday go? 600. I only traded ARM on Friday. It was super slow, but I still had a half decent green day. And then yesterday was pretty solid. I ended up at 1500, and today I am just over 3000 with that DTCK trade right there.
That's
Um,
amazing.
So yeah, I am seemingly picking up some steam, but I am just being really conscious and mindful, trying to be. I've been talking with my friend Max, who he's one of the other like verified profitable guys at Warrior. He actually has $1 million badge. And he's super young. He's like 22. But
Nice.
he and I probably trade the most similar out of any of the other like Warrior mentors. And we're both in a drawdown for September and both having the same exact things going on. I've been watching a lot of videos from Lance Brightstein lately, especially, and they've been super helpful for me, I think. Just on mindset. And like I started doing a daily report card last week. And I'm just trying to be really specific about the trades that I'm taking. Like always asking myself, is this a trade that I really want to be in because I think that it's going to help my day, my P&L, or am I trading it just because it's sort of price action or because I'm here or because I'm bored? So Max and I have both been talking about, we're both in a drawdown. I am in probably like a 11 to $12,000 hole for September now, which is better than it was. And it's starting to look like maybe I can get out of it at this point before the end of the month. He's in a like $25,000 drawdown, which is the same boat for him with the size that he trades. So we were just talking today about all we need is just a couple solid days and try to avoid the mistakes in between. And that's really it. The mistakes in between have been tough lately, but I feel finally with a couple solid days, like I'm starting to get in tune and in touch and a little more confidence back. So it hasn't been easy. The price action on AVGR today was not easy, but it gave some really nice opportunity, some really nice range. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, it was pretty clear when it was going to squeeze.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. There was it was kind of like a little bit of a build up, and you can but it was holding support zones and started
Yeah.
turning higher again.
The major clue for me on AVGR that maybe it was going to squeeze or at least have a strong candle like this was just how it was completely holding up despite the rejections. We had this push out of the open. And actually, I made the mistake of trading at pre-market. I took 3-ish trades on it pre-market for a loss on every single one. So I came into the market open down like 275 on it, which is small for me. That's fine. My first trade off of like this dip into the opening push got myself up to 800 on it, took my hands off as it did this. And then as it kept coming up here and testing and topping tails, but continuing to hold, I took this trade and sold into this push. The only problem on AVGR was these big rejections as it had this move. I took this trade here, I think from like 1020 and sold, I think I got some out over 11. But like despite these huge rejections, it was still holding up and not breaking down and then starting to curl. And then it had huge spikes, but you had to be really quick to sell into them.
Yeah. 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 Pre-market has been really tough lately. And I guess to add to what you were saying about avoiding the nasty stuff, right? Avoiding, are you bored right now? Why are you taking this trade? Last week, I don't know what happened to me, but I got on tilt or something. And I ended the week down like 3,500 roughly.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I was taking so many really bad trades. And so today or Monday, I came into the market saying, you know what, I'm gonna stick around till 7:30. If nothing is tradable, so like if I'm not, trading a decent front side, I'm gonna walk away till market opens. So like 10 minutes before the market opens. And I did that Monday and today. That allowed me just to give myself a little space and calm down and do something else, because lately I've noticed my biggest problem is just market exposure. It's that simple. Sitting around and staring at charts that are, doing nothing. That's how I'm getting into trouble. So I was like, I need to cut that totally out. So yeah,
I totally
focus
agree
on the best stuff and otherwise limit my exposure. Today, I think I walked away slightly too soon. I didn't get that last, breakout fake out on AVGR, which I think there was a lot of problems. I kind of walked away around 10 o'clock. So I think if I stayed another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, that big spike over 11 that I was just showing.
Yeah, that was a nice spike. And I'm pretty sure I could have done that one well because I had the anticipation we were going to break over 1050. And I was very sure it was going to be a fake out breakout. So I think I would have traded it right. But I've just been giving back so many profits, like going, up a couple hundred or up 1,000 and then like going deep. Like I had, $2,400 red day out of $1,400 red day, like really nasty. So I was like, I need to give myself a little space, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good to recognize them. I feel like the first step is recognizing it. And then you're like, man, I think I probably would have hit that decently well. And then the problem with this market, I feel like, is those moves are happening at like really different times each day. That's like true. Yesterday, AVGR was holding up really well. And I just felt like it was going to squeeze. But I didn't want to wait around the whole day for it to squeeze. So I went to the gym and like halfway through my workout, I checked my phone and I was like, it's doing it. So classic me, I took 1,000 shares on my phone.
Nice.
I got like 10 cents out of it. So like, I guess at least I felt like I got something on it.
That's impressive though.
But that's the problem right now is sometimes those moves are happening at 7 a.m. More often than not, they're happening at like 10 or 11, 9 or 10 or 11. And then they just fade through power hour, which sucks.
It's very weird stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, it's been difficult. I just keep thinking though, and going back to some stuff that Lance talks about essentially, which is when you go through these tougher periods, if you can really actively put some focus onto what you're doing wrong and how to improve it and get better, all that is happening is you're increasing your long-term overall expected value. And from the work that I've been doing so far, I feel like I am actually realizing that profit-wise. And at the very least, it makes me feel a little better about myself.
Do you follow
Yeah.
Lance on Twitter, or do you have a Twitter?
No, I have Twitter, but I really don't use it. And the more that Elon screws it, the
Yeah.
less I want to use it. So
You should if you do use it, you should just turn on the notifications for Lance, because his posts
Yeah.
on Twitter are super good. Like he'll talk about how he'll be like, whenever you're implementing a solution to a problem, like take that as far as you possibly can. And he's like, for example, here's one of the traders that we have at our desk. He overtrades. So his solution is like at 10:30, you have an alarm on your phone that tells you to stop trading. And then Lance was like, well, what he
I
should
have
do,
that.
yeah.
It doesn't work.
He's like, what he should do is like to completely eliminate distractions. He should have apps on his phone that limit his amount of screen time he can have on his phone. And then he has like an alarm clock that goes off at 10:30. It's not a normal alarm clock. It's one that actually sits on your desk that's going to shake and vibrate. That's literally like physical, you know, in your face. And then he has like, whenever you have the alarm clock go off, you have to write like 4 reasons why you're either over trading or under, you know what I mean? It's like, take it 10 steps further than like the first step. And that would like make it even more effective. But
I know that he frequently references Atomic Habits, which I have not fully finished yet, but I started it. I forget if it was like months ago. I think it was just months ago. And I have like 2 hours left on the audiobook, so I'm most of the way through. And I've kind of started listening to it again. But one of the major things that he and James Clear kind of preach is like whenever you're trying to change a habit or break a habit, it's all about how much friction there is with that habit. So like if you're trying to watch TV less, put the remote in the other room, or take the batteries out, put the batteries in the other room. Or even if you want to go to extremes, move the TV out of the room and move it back in when you want to watch TV. And I think about that, and I think about like my biggest issue probably is not necessarily trading too much. It's over trading when there is no edge. And I haven't so far found a real good solution for like putting actual friction on that. Because as long as I'm sitting here, like there's nothing stopping me from pressing buttons. So I don't know what ideas there might be to like put friction on that, or if it's just something that I need to get better at, which
I find it so hard. That's what I was saying before. I literally closed my, or I don't know if I said it before, but the whole 7:30 thing, if there was nothing moving by then, because I'm typically a pre-market focused trader, I closed my TOS, because before I was like, yeah, I'm not going to trade pre-market if there's no setup. And then there'd be like those like, you know, crap volume little weasels trying to break VWAP, and I would trade that crap. And then before you know it, I'm down to like, you know, $1,000 pre-market doing like trading nonsense. And I was like, okay, if TOS is open and I see my charts, I'm going to trade anything that moves, because sometimes you have to take stabs before it works. That's just how it goes. So I literally had to close my TOS, and then it's fine. You know, even if I see someone say something in the Discord, I typically can relax and like not get FOMO. It's this, if my TOS is open, that's the pivot for me. So I guess that's in terms of Atomic Habits. I read that book too. It's really good. But yeah, that's how I make it a little bit more difficult. That's my barrier.
That's tough, because like if you add friction, then you're inevitably going to delete some edge, because that
100%.
if you're trading small caps, like what are you gonna do? Turn the auto send off? Like you got to click an extra button to let the order go through. Well, that wouldn't fucking work. That's gonna immediately make you like not even a profitable trader. So that's tough. That's a hard thing to think about. I like when he talks about how you should always replace bad habits with another habit that is just healthier. Like I think that's an awesome That's something that, because so many people try to stop doing something and it's fucking impossible if you don't try to replace it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you guys ever watch Hey Arnold?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Do you remember that kid
So-
that was like obsessed with chocolate?
It was like he makes this weird breathing noise, right?
I don't totally, it might have been Stoop Kid.
Chocolate.
He was obsessed with chocolate. He just was constantly stuffing his face with chocolate. And eventually one of the episodes, they got him to transition to radishes. But that's what that makes me think of.
That's funny.
One thing about
I
was gonna say one thing about reducing over trading. Ever since I moved over to DAS, what I like to do is when I log in, I only have my TD open, only the charts, but I don't open my DAS until I actually see something. And so it does take like maybe about 30 seconds to load everything up and get everything ready. And by then, like hopefully, most of those stocks have dumped already and made its dump move. And I don't have to trade any of it, but that's one thing that helps.
The problem with DOS though is that it's such a lightweight program on my computer. I can click the app icon and the login screen pops up, and between clicking the icon and having everything up and ready, it's like 10 seconds. It's ridiculous.
It is pretty quick. It is pretty. Yep.
Bunch of crack babies.
Literally.
It's so good. Yeah,
we're just chasing our dopamine hits. That's all. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
I've been kind of thinking about that lately too, because I can be hard on myself, and like one of my main goals that I'm so focused on right now is being able to buy a house, maybe in the Bay or just like in general at some point. I'm 31. It would be nice to own a house at some point in a way that like financially makes sense. I don't think with the rates and all of that right now, that's a different discussion, but like buying a house is one of my main financial goals. And it can be easy to feel like that's far away, but at the same time, like it doesn't make any sense to be unsatisfied or unhappy with having a $3,000 day right now, even though it feels like I probably need like 100 more of those to buy a house. It's like, well, I can still be pretty happy today with that. And like, what's the point of life if all you're thinking about is this goal that you have in the future? I was watching a video on trading psychology, how to handle FOMO with Dr. Steenbarger the other day. And he was talking about how, especially with trading, it's dangerous and a bad idea to have your happiness tied only to your trading P&L. Like you need to have some other life P&L things going on aside from, am I going to be happy today or sad today based on how I traded?
100%.
Absolutely.
Do you guys find that like it's like even just yesterday I had a good trade and I just had a great day, and by the end of the day I was like, how much did that trade affect my happiness of the day? And I have to really sit and think, because I think it was a fucking lot. Like I genuinely think that it affected me a lot. Like I was just making lunch and I'm just like, ooh, lunch, fucking cooking. I'm
lunch
just having a good time. Yeah. Fucking lunch sucks though when you lose $1,000. It's like, it's like, it's so hard to fully detach that. And I think honestly, it's going to take 10 years before we're completely like, I made $10,000 today. I truly do not even give a fuck at all. I lost $5,000 today. I truly do not even think of it. Like, it's not even part of your, it's just like you're moving like a robot for the first 4 hours of the day. And then like the rest of it's over,
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was literally telling my girlfriend, what was it, like 3 or 4 days, like maybe it was Wednesday last week or something, because I just had my big red day. And I was like, man, a couple of years ago, if I had a $2,500 red day, I would have been pretty upset. But we were walking to the grocery store and I was very desensitized. Like I didn't really care.
Yeah.
Of course I'm frustrated because it's like, the grind but I was like, in terms of actually thinking about the money, not one thought was going towards that. I really didn't care about the money. It was more of just like, I was annoyed that it was just like kind of wasting my time in a slow
Yeah.
market. It was more like, that's why I was annoyed.
I
And
totally agree with that.
I noticed that and I was like, like, wow, I'm kind of getting desensitized a little bit, which I guess is great. I mean, as
Yeah.
long as throwing money around. But yeah, I was on tilt last week for sure. So I also
I
don't
think
know.
that it definitely takes some losses to kind of detach from that. And there's nothing wrong with being happy and having a good day because you had a good day in the market.
Yeah.
It's interesting and funny and kind of sucks a little bit, but usually, like I'm up 3,100 or something like that today, which is an awesome day. But I know that I don't feel as happy being up 3,100 as I would feel upset if I were down 3,100.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Facts.
Which
Yep.
always is the case. And I try to keep that in mind, especially on my red days of like, try not to get too bent out of shape if I'm having a red day, if I wouldn't be the same amount happy with however green I was in comparison.
That's a real psychological
I forget what it's
there's
called.
like that's proven. Like loss feels worse than
Yeah.
winning. Like if you give someone, I
Yeah.
don't know, there's like $5, but then you take away one, it feels much worse than they have a really good experiment about that. I forgot. I remember reading about it. But yeah, sorry. I was just thinking.
To take this idea a step further, I know it. I fell into that trap when I first started trading a lot. It's like I suspended my happiness to
Yeah.
until I was like making some amount of money, or being a full-time trader. I would suspend my happiness and I wouldn't allow myself to enjoy my everyday because I was
Yeah.
always thinking about it. And the one thing holding me back from letting go of that idea was that if I were to let go of that, I would lose the motivation or I'd lose my intensity
Uh-huh.
to be successful at this. And that's why I think a lot of people suspend their happiness is because of that
Yeah.
extra kick in the ass that maybe they will, if they suspend their happiness, they'll have that super like intensity or high motivation to actually complete it or to actually fulfill your goals. But I'm not sure. What do you guys think about that? Does that actually give you the motivation, or do you think being detached always is the best way to go?
Well, it's that same issue that I was just talking about is like, I'll be happy when, but realistically, that when is never going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it's going to feel great someday to buy a house or buy a Ferrari or whatever it is, but then what? Like, that's not my purpose in life.
Yeah.
But I think that's such a common issue is like, I'll be happy when this happens or whatever. Or like, I'll let myself feel happy or I won't be stressed when this happens. Like obviously money and making money can help with relieving stress or making you feel happy, or like one of the things that I appreciate about making money in the market is that it helps me to take care of friends. Like I can host a dinner party and just not have to be like, hey, can you guys all Venmo me $10? And that makes me feel good. Because for a long time, I totally couldn't do that. And I had to think about every little thing. Like I was talking with my girlfriend that just this past weekend about, we saw pumpkins out at like Trader Joe's or something. And we were talking about carving pumpkins. And I had this memory from years ago when I was with my ex and we had bought pumpkins and then got into an argument about, I thought that we were just going to carve them using like kitchen knives. And she didn't want to carve them unless we bought the carving kits, the little special knives. And those were like $20 each. And I was like, we already bought the pumpkins. I don't want to also spend money on knives when we have knives. And we got in an argument about that. And like, that's the little stuff that the money brings that, you just don't have to deal with anymore.
Yeah. Like the petty stuff, the small stuff that doesn't actually matter.
The little,
You're not as attached to that stuff.
Yeah. It's like, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
To me, honestly, I feel like everything in our life is just purely cyclical. Like there's a reason why the stock market's cyclical. I think that our mindset is also cyclical. Like there's totally like multiple months I'll go through where it's like trading is the only thing I need to do. I'm focused 100% on this. If I don't make money today, I hate everything. If I don't, like that's 3 months. And then 3 months go by where it's like, I go into the market and I'm like, I don't even give a shit about trading. I'm going to make money through my Airbnb. I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And it's like, we go through these points where you have to sacrifice your happiness just so you can get shit done. But then if you stay there too long, your performance suffers anyway because you're relying on happiness for trading. And then once your performance suffers for so long, you become desensitized to the result of trading. So then you go back and you're like, oh, I don't even get any happiness from trading at all. And then a year goes by when then you start making way more money. And then you're like, oh, wow, I never made this much money. I'm getting happy from trading again. It's just going to keep happening forever and ever and ever with bigger numbers and smaller. You know what I mean? It's just like,
there was an Instagram reel or something that I saw just the other day that was like exactly that. It was about, I forget exactly what he said, but it was like driven people are kind of unhappy, like 90 or feel like they're underperforming 90% of the time. And then there's 8% of the time where you just feel like you're being kicked when you're down constantly. And then there's about 2% of the time where you feel like you're just nailing it. And for me especially, I'm like, that is so accurate.
Yeah.
So
and
true.
I'm really working on trying to make that 2% feel a little more like 10% or 20% even if I could. But yeah, that's such a huge point. And I've kind of struggled with that for years. Basically since I found profitability with trading, it's like, and especially this year, I've really struggled with that. This is by far my best year of trading yet, but at the same time, I'm seeing so clearly all the mistakes that I'm making and like, what if I took a little bit more size or like just kept working on that? I know how much more potential there is and also how much more potential I feel like I can do. And it makes it harder to actually feel satisfied, even though I've blown away my best year yet, and we still have 3 months to go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I found that video you were talking about. Let me share it real quick. Can you share sound too?
I'm pretty sure your computer sound will, because if we're trading, I always hear the trades being made, especially Toby with this like ding.
It's through my headphones. I don't know if
no, okay, we don't hear it.
no, fuck.
Can you let me think about this?
Oh wait, share sound.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. One, that people have a superiority complex. They believe they're better than others, and they believe that they deserve more than everyone else does, and that they can accomplish big goals. The second thing is that they had crippling insecurity, and which is a paradox of paradoxes. And then the third piece, which kind of adds the beautiful like mix of this, is impulse control. And so they're able to control their actions and focus on a single thing for an extended period of time.
You lay out.
I love Alex Hormozy.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, he has some good mindset stuff. That wasn't the video, but yeah, similar concept. What do you guys feel about that first point? Like superiority complex?
I mean, I don't know. It feels weird to even say that out loud because it's like, do I really think that I'm smarter than most people? And like, when I really deep down think about it, I definitely do think that for sure. I definitely for sure see average people and I'm like, not average people, just the average human being. And I'm like, do they know that we're like floating on a rock 17,000 miles an hour through space and our galaxy's going 130,000 miles an hour through the fucking infinite universe? And it's like, do they know that like quantum entangled particles travel faster than the speed of light? Do they know there's like 10 dimensions that we don't even see and that we're not perceiving them at all? And it's like, and I'm like, I don't think they fucking know that. I really don't. I don't think the average person's thinking of shit like that. And I'm like, does that make me better than them? Of course, fuck no, it doesn't. It doesn't mean anything at all. But in the moment, it's hard for you to be like, why do I seek out like all of these weird, like causal things about reality and just life and philosophy and psychology whenever most people don't really give a shit, or they're just kind of moving throughout their life totally on autopilot. But then
Mhm.
I always go back to like, if you're a human being, for me personally, I do not think that any of us are unique and special. Like, after saying all that, this is where I end up at the end of that conversation with myself. First, I'm like, oh, no one thinks about the universe. And then at the end of that conversation, I'm like, no, actually, you're not special at all. No one in the entire fucking world is unique. No one is special. We all are basically just a product of our environment. And if you like, I think some people will be like, oh, if you could take my soul out of my body and put it into Hitler's body, I wouldn't have been Hitler. I would have known that was a terrible thing. No, the fuck you wouldn't, because whatever happened to Hitler in his life made him Hitler. So it's like, I think that it's stupid for us as humans to be like, oh, my soul would know that, like, I'm not you. I wouldn't do something evil. No, we're all totally susceptible to do evil shit, like, for sure. And we definitely do it just on a lessened scale now because we're like a little more educated. But I don't know what you guys think about that. Like, it's nice for me to think like, oh, I think of all these things that are special that people don't think of. But it's like, why do I think of that? It's because my fucking mom is extremely a spiritual person. She loves thinking about space and time and all this shit. And my dad's a businessman. So it's like, the only reason I like thinking of business and being an entrepreneur is because I have my dad. And the only reason I like thinking about space and philosophy and psychology is because I have my mom. If I didn't have either of those two things, I could easily have been just a completely different fucking person that didn't give a shit about those things at all. So
yeah, you're definitely a product of your environment to a large extent. Like, I was on Netflix, I was watching like the most dangerous prisons for some weird reason. I just wanted to watch like an episode.
I watch that stuff on YouTube all the time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, dude, I'm crazy about like history videos on YouTube.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's just so good. Anyway, I was watching this and like they were interviewing somebody that was in there, some prison guy. He was just like, someone owed him a bunch of money, and he was like, yes, I went to his house and killed him. And 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 they were like, everyone was so shocked. And I was thinking about that. I was like, and like, product of your environment. So I've had twice now two people steal from me like sums over $30,000. And at the moment, I was very pissed off, like to the point where if that person was next to me, we'll just say thankfully they weren't, right? But if I compare myself to that person, he had a really hard childhood. They were kind of going through his background and everything. He was very susceptible. He grew up in violence to like execute that violence. I didn't really have that kind of upbringing like he did. I had very laissez-faire and like passive parents when it comes to violence. Like, they didn't really believe in violence. I didn't grow up in that environment. I mean, I boxed for 5 years, and I enjoy like a good strategic fight. But at the same point, like, I'm not in that environment where I'm going to go to that person's house and commit murder, because I didn't grow up in that environment that teaches that kind of violence. So like, yeah, maybe there'd be a dispute, or, I try to go the legal route. I'm not, because the downside, when I view that kind of action, the downside is much greater than any sort of positive feeling of revenge. Right. So I just kind of let it go. It is what it is. I can't get it back. And it's only head if I'm trying to get even kind of philosophy. Right. But yeah, like, I guess to come full circle, like, you're definitely a product of your environment. If I was in an abusive family and I knew that way, and like, you grew up under violence, maybe dad was a wife beater or something, like, if that's your childhood, you're much more likely to commit those crimes.
Do you think our history when in childhood influenced us to become or chase trading as a career path? That it's somehow jived
trading, but like whatever walks across your path, like trading was just one of those things that happened to be there at a certain point of our lives that made it, and we were really interested. I think it could have probably been anything. I don't think it's trading specifically, but yeah, like, we might be very inclined to take this high risk because we're maybe looking for some sort of, maybe it comes back to the superiority complex. I don't know. Like, does everyone have a superiority complex, but about different issues? Because that's interesting to think about. Like, I know growing up myself, I like if we were doing track or something like that, I would pretty much like be 100% confident I was going to be the fastest. And I didn't even know how fast anyone else ran. I just assumed I was going to be the best. And that sounds like a really cocky thing to say, but I don't know if that comes from a superiority complex or just because maybe I've already done 10 races in the other schools and I've always won. So I don't know if it's a little bit of like, I really don't know.
Like, can you earn a superiority complex? Because like to be honest, like if you're fucking the best in the world, then yes, you are superior, period. So
Right,
it's like
yeah. If I don't know, if you're a chick and you're very good looking and everyone treats you a certain way, at one point you learn like what you can get away with, maybe, or if you're
True.
really
It's kinda like
smart, you
fake
learn.
it till you make it. It's kind of
Yeah,
like the fake it till you make it. Oh, so, and in some sense, it can work for you, but also against you. Because if you believe that, then it's actually like what we saw in the video. He's like, it also comes with that insecurity because you're always trying to prop that up. And if there's anything that falsifies that or any sort of inkling that that's not true, that you're not the best, and you have such a negative emotional feeling about that.
Mm.
So
I think-
trading will be tough too, because that probably explains why we feel so bad to the downside than we feel good to the upside.
Yeah.
Because of those beliefs that we have.
I think that with high performing people, there is almost always another issue that comes along with it. Like think about Michael Phelps, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, like any of the smartest people in the world who are doing the most. They all have issues, like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. There's always other issues going on. There is that drive, but usually they have so much energy physically or mentally that it needs to manifest an outlet somewhere. And sometimes that's productive, and other times it comes out in not productive ways. I think that that's probably part of it, but
Yeah.
biggest strength, biggest weakness type thing.
Kind of,
I think,
yeah.
I think that makes sense. Your biggest insecurity is what drives you to become the most successful in that certain domain. Yeah, I think that completely makes sense. Otherwise, if you weren't insecure about it, you wouldn't be working so hard to compensate for it, and you wouldn't be at that level that you would be at, because you wouldn't need to put that much intensity in it to become successful at it. That makes sense.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was from the David Goggins book or not, but usually someone said this somewhere. It might have been David Goggins, but he was like, show me someone who's doing something really crazy, like, Michael Phelps or Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, and I'll show you the lowest point of like an extreme low point that they had. Like if you're going to go that far, you've probably had an insane low, and you're basically running away from ever being there again. So if you were very poor, your parents couldn't afford anything, you're going to make sure you're the richest person in the world, so you'll never have to experience that again. So on and so forth. There's a really good experiment where they were using a mouse and they tied its tail to like I don't know, just like a measurement device, and it was in a tube, and they put like some cheese on one side of the tube, and it was like, how much does the mouse want to go towards the cheese? And they measured that kind of pressure, because it wanted the cheese, right? But how much is it willing to pull? And then they did the same thing where they put like a cat on the other side of the tube. So how much is the mouse trying to run away from the cat? And the fear was a much bigger driver in how much that animal, so the mouse, was willing to push. So fear is a bigger driver than desire.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
it's literally survival instincts.
Yeah,
it's like, if I go towards the cat, I definitely die. If I don't go towards the cheese, I'll maybe be hungry, but I'll probably find food again at some point.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe there's risk with the cheese anyway, so I'm not going to push it so hard.
To take this to branch off of this, you could say that not to remind yourself not to compare yourself from one thing to one thing, and everybody has their own departments in their life that they're the weakest at and you're stronger, or that they're stronger than you in some areas and you're not, or you're more developed in some areas and then they're not. So, if you're going to compare someone, especially in trading, if you're going to compare yourself to someone, you have to also compare the other aspects of your life with their life as well to make it a wholesome comparison. Otherwise, you're just beating yourself up, and it wouldn't be psychologically, I guess, fair in a way.
Yeah.
100%. It's so hard to compare yourself to others. It's almost worthless to do. But like I think one thing I've realized over the last few years specifically is like I have my strengths, but I definitely have my weaknesses. I know like that's always what we talk about, strengths and weaknesses, especially like in any self-help book. But I feel like it takes a while to actually understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, and like to be really aware of that. Like, just like 5-6 years ago, like I would have been very kind of like oh yeah, sole entrepreneur, let me start this project, I can take it all on, I'll do this, but I didn't really think like maybe 5 steps ahead or however many steps ahead, thinking, okay, well, I'm really good at XYZ, but I suck at these other things. Let me just find a team member or kind of outsource that or something like that. I used to just be like, oh, I'll figure it out, it can't be that hard. Someone else can do it, I can do it too. Sure, I can probably deliver that, but it's going to take me a lot more time than someone else who, like, I don't know, let's say marketing or something that comes really natural to them. While for me, like marketing or like making a certain video is like really, it's not something I do when I'm bored. Like my brother, for example, he makes amazing videos. He's always wanted to film stuff ever since we were kids. Not once did like me filming something was ever like my default. I was never interested in that. So it's a big kind of show that like we tend to lean in certain ways. So if you lean into your default mode, your strengths, you can go much further, and you just outsource everything or team up with somebody else, everything you're like below a 6 at, because it's a waste of time for you to do.
Yeah.
That's so hard to do. Like, how do you even...
It is hard to do. Yeah, exactly.
Because even like, let's say you're good at something, like you think you're good at something. Like, let's say I was decent at fucking math and stupid shit like that. I should be a decent trader, right? Like I should, right? I'm not stupid. Like I'm not, I mean, but I can't trade. I don't make any money. So it's like, and then there's also like the lore of obviously trading is much the easiest. It's the hardest easy money in the world, right?
Yeah. Good one, yeah.
And then hardest easy job.
Yeah. And then so like my little cabin, right? That has taught me so much shit about just the like life and stuff like that, because it's like I didn't want to do that at all. I literally only did that cabin just so I could supply income, because I knew I was going to take a long time to become profitable at trading. And that's the only reason I did it. And then within literally a month, I make more money in that than I do from all of trading. Obviously, I still need to make $10,000 before I'm break even, but whatever. And then it's like now that I did that and I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool, I want to do more of that, even though I did it just to make trading easier. So it's like, you'd think I'd be good at trading. I'm not. And then I try to do a cabin. I have no fucking idea if I'm going to be good at that or not. I built like a fucking treehouse when I was like 10. Like, okay, yeah, that's not going to make me good at doing something. I did it. It was better. And I get rewarded for it, which is the whole point of what I'm trying to make is, if you do something you think you're good at, but you don't get rewarded for it, you eventually stop liking it, because that reward is so important. Like trading, even for me now, my whole approach to trading is just completely erase all of the noise. And if it doesn't work, then sorry, buddy, you're not a fucking trader. So it's like, I'm not going to go sit here every day anymore for 8 hours watching every YouTuber, every fucking information I can get, all of this sensory overload. I did that for so long and I got no reward for it, that I'm not going to do that anymore. And until I get rewarded for the money I make from trading, I'm probably never going to do that again. So like, that's why I always say now that I think it's better if you kind of just like, don't even listen to any trader and you just lock yourself in a dark room and you're like, I'm going to figure out what works for me in the market by myself. I'll use every fucking indicator possible until I find whatever I like that works. And then if you just do it that way, then it'll probably be a lot better. But it's hard to do something and not get rewarded for it for a very long time. Like that shit is tough.
Yeah, you become resentful towards it. I feel you there. It's like, why am I bothering? Yeah,
that's for sure. Especially when you could just get a job and just like have a paycheck immediately.
Yep.
Yeah, jobs always have such a bad rep, but I don't view jobs actually as a bad thing. Like I know a few people that like juggle some freelance gigs, or they have like, you know, a job plus some freelancing, or they just have a job and they live their life and they just have so much free time. I almost envy that. And then they and it's like, oh, they have a job and they have so much free time. It's so backwards, specifically in Europe. Like, mind you, like I'm not in America right now, and America's a whole different cookie. Like here, like I was
Free time?
yeah, I was talking to my friend, and she owns this really massive company. It's like one of the fastest growing companies now in Europe. She even met Merkel and XYZ. It's a long story, but she she some of her employees were complaining. They were like, "Oh, you only give like 28 days vacation," and like I was like, "Who are these people complaining about that?" Mind you, they also get like a month or month and a half of remote days, and then sick days is like another unlimited basically, and then like paid sick days, and then there's also like the amount of holidays in Germany is insane. You think America has like you know, American holidays, you got, I don't know how many there are, but in Germany it's like times two everything. So it's like, I mean, these people literally could take 4 months off of work and get paid for it, and like, you know, have no problems. It's insane. So I was just like, wow, you know, if and then if you like, let's say you invest all like most of your earnings, you could probably become a millionaire just investing in SPY pretty easily, I would say nowadays. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, if I just did like, you know, back of the napkin calculations, and I'm like, man, these people are living a pretty good life. Obviously, you know, there's so much more advantages you could have out of trading once you get over that bump. But yeah, like Tom, I totally agree. Like it's a simple job.
If anyone is listening to this shit, just realize that is absolutely only a European thing.
Yeah,
that is not a fucking American thing. You want to work in America,
balance,
bro?
America?
No. My parents went to Ecuador to like do fucking ayahuasca, and all these people were there, and they met all these European people.
Yeah.
Every fucking guy, every person was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just here for 2 months," and they're like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, I just work for BMW in Europe or whatever." Just and they're like, "Well, how are you here for 2 months?" And they're like, "They pay me." And my parents like,
crazy.
"What? They
it's
pay you
crazy.
to do drugs in Ecuador?" And they're like, "Yes."
I talked to so many people here in Europe that are like complaining about their job. They're like, I only have 2 months vacation, and like, or like some of these jobs, they'll literally offer you a year sabbatical whenever you want.
That's what it was. That's what it was actually.
Yeah.
Like
they don't
want to like insult or make their employees feel like they don't have enough me time or something. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. That's why I always say, if you're just like an average Joe, you want to live a good life, move to Europe. But if you want to go like do something crazy like Elon Musk, you have to go to America, because you can't do those things in Europe. It's impossible to start SpaceX in Europe. So it's like,
you can't get fired.
Yeah, you can't get fired. Oh my god, I was just reading an article. Google started a branch in France. I think it was Google, and they needed to close it down. I think it was in Paris specifically. And then they were like, holy shit, we can't fire like the 150 employees we hired. And I was laughing so much about this because I had the same problem. I had a company in Bulgaria. We had around, I think, like 9 employees at the height of this. And first, the holidays were killing me. At one point, nobody was in the office, but it was like, okay, because it was like a Bulgarian holiday, like these 2 days, and then everyone takes the bridge days off. So it was just like August. It was August. It was just like that month, you could just delete it. And then like, what was my point here? Yeah. Then I don't know. It was so frustrating dealing with, I couldn't fire him. So we couldn't close the company for like 6 months because you just can't. I was like, okay, well, our cash flows are kind of negative at this branch. We want to close it. And it was just like, nope, like 6 months, you have to at least keep everything going. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I was like, what if you don't have money? Like, this is terrifying. So it's just like, in Europe, you have to do things very slowly because you can make many mistakes that you can't get out of. Well, in America, it's like, move fast, break things, fire people. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Very different philosophies.
It's almost like an entrepreneurship culture compared to like an employee culture. Because if you have to wait 6 months and your company's going bankrupt, what the fuck does that mean? You have to continue payroll for 6 fucking months? Like, I gotta pay these people $100,000 and I don't have a company anymore for the next 6. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary. That's why I was like, if you start a company in a foreign country, just like you understand, like there's stuff that you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, in Europe in general, it's all about the system. In America, it's about the individual, I would say. Oh, look at that cart IPO'd. Anyone trading that?
Yeah, I'm right on it.
Instacart.
Yeah, change of topics. Share my screen quickly just so everyone can see it.
Yeah. I was just gonna pull it up.
Oh yeah. Well, if you want to pull it
Oof.
up, it's also fun.
No.
Yeah. Another garbage American IPO. No surprise.
Yeah, it's probably way oversubscribed. I didn't look into it so much.
Yeah.
Let's see what the market cap is.
Let's watch it fly through 39 here to the downside.
Wait, what is this company?
Instacart.
$11 billion company at the moment. It's
Wow,
basically
Bear
like get your
Incorporated.
stuff delivered to your house right away. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
Instacart. Yeah.
kind of like Uber
Here we
Eats.
go.
Like
38. Ridiculous.
Can you short or no?
No, unfortunately. I tried. I lost 500 on it going long, but I can't go short.
This might bottom out at one point and then have a nice. Well, at one point it will bottom out, right? In theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm talking about intraday. Maybe it's gonna have a. I don't know.
Maybe it'll have one pop to the upside and then maybe fade.
Yeah, something like that.
Because if everyone is loading up short here, there's got to be at some point where they get squeezed out.
Yeah, you would think.
I guess, yeah.
You would think so. That's
It's
what I'm
still
kind
up
of waiting
30%.
to see.
How does that?
Yeah,
That's
you
weird.
know what? It's probably because their IPO price was initially going to be
It was like
something down here.
32, I think. 32 or 30.
Yeah, and then they finally actually opened at 30 or 42 roughly.
Yeah.
So it's oversubscribed. So many people want it, and they just keep bumping it up, whatever it's about to IPO at, which is pretty
Yeah.
shady. But
Man, that would suck to just run a company for so many years and then you decide to IPO and you're doing it in this fucking environment. Oh man. Imagine the people who were like IPO'd in 2021 or 2020
Yeah.
and they're like, whoa, dude, I sold that shit the second an IPO because I was
Yep.
up 10,000%.
Right.
yeah, that was the time to do it. That was everyone had to cut basically multiples, cut their valuation. They had to do a down round of financing. It's pretty brutal. It definitely messes up your cap models, but it's probably a good thing. I mean, everything was so overvalued. It was insane. I mean, everything's come down drastically except
Yeah.
the SPY.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm surprised. I looked at GameStop the other day. It was like still around. Well, they did their split, their stock split, and they're still at $17. Surprised because AMC was like completely way down now, but
They did a reverse
GameStop is
split.
holding up.
Have you guys seen the trailers for Dumb Money?
No.
Oh, is that the new Netflix one about GameStop, right?
Is it Netflix or is it an actual movie? I don't know. It is about
Oh.
GameStop though. Yeah.
I think it's like a Netflix series. I think I saw it.
Oh, okay.
It's like a documentary series, docu-series.
I'm not sure what it is. I saw a trailer for it at the actual movies the other day, but yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty interested in that, and especially how they portray both sides.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how they do the Ken Griffin stuff. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, maybe it is a movie. Maybe it's both. Because there's definitely something on Netflix about GameStop, and it's like a mini series. But this
Yeah, I think that's a different thing. I'm not
that's
sure.
something different. Yeah, Dumb Money is a movie, I think. Yeah, Dumb Money movie. It's literally has a hashtag. Okay,
Okay.
there we go.
Got to
That's
the bottom
cool.
of it.
When does it come out?
I don't know.
it's September 22nd. Oh, definitely want to watch
Oh,
that. I
next
love going to
week.
movie theaters.
Sweet.
Oh, it's like an actual movie. It's not a Netflix thing.
No, there is something on Netflix about GameStop. I was literally about to click on it yesterday. I was
Yeah.
watching the trailer on Netflix, but this is Dumb Money is something different, and it's a movie that comes out on September 22nd.
I hope it's really fucking good. I need another movie to binge. I'm too sick of fucking The Big Short and Boiler Room and The Wolf of Wall Street. Holy shit.
Yeah.
There's good
Rotate through
actors
those
in
three
this.
all day.
Seth Rogen, bunch of. Yeah, I feel you there. So what's everyone's game plan going forward this week? Anything new, different? I think we're all a little traumatized.
Just keep it tight. One of the things I've really been trying to focus on lately is like 3 strikes and I'm out, which usually means like at least take a pause. Just trying to be very mindful and conscious of the trades I'm taking. It's worked for me the last couple of days or so. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just trying to be real careful and conscious, try to take good trades.
Yeah. I'll add to that by saying, I mean, I agree totally the exact same thing here. And for me, I'm trying to implement that through reducing my market exposure. I typically trade pre-market. So, you know, at 7:30, if there's still nothing moving, I close it. And then I just come back 10, 15 minutes before the market open, refreshed, ready to go. Because if I stare at those charts for two hours, I know I'm going to do something silly. And that's what I've been doing lately. So, yeah.
Good, Tom.
Yeah, I guess for me, kind of same thing that I've been doing is just trying to stay consistent. This month I've only had one red day so far, but
awesome.
consistently green. So I just want to keep that up. And when the market does turn around, go back into my goal that I had set last month which was trying to have all of my trades, well, not all of my trades, my A plus setups trades to be at least $10,000 or higher in dollar size. And I've been tracking those in TradeJournal with the tag $10,000 and just tracking the metrics with that size so I can see with my own 2 eyes my accuracy, my risk reward, how I'm handling emotionally with taking a loss on that size. And if I'm green on those sizes, then I should be. It should build my comfort. It should build my confidence to make that more of a common thing, even in a colder market. So that's what I'm going to be working on when things start to turn around a little bit.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I like the idea of categorizing them so you can actually see, like, with your own eyes, the efficacy of using exponential sizing. That's really cool. For me, rate hike tomorrow. I didn't trade it all today because I looked through all my stats, and every single time I ever trade before like a high news event, it's always just terrible trading. I lose money every time. So I just completely didn't even, I mean, I watched the market today, and I saw one trade, I was like, eh. And then it fucking flushed right through it. And I was like, yep, that's why you don't trade the day before FOMC. But yeah, just
so much more.
I traded once yesterday and that's it.
Nice.
Also, thanks, Tom, for managing the social medias. If you guys see the shorts on TikTok now,
oh, nice.
The ones from YouTube, they're on TikTok. Thanks, Tom, for managing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Tom, are you talking about that one you told me about? Is that on YouTube or?
It's on YouTube Shorts as what 5.5 right now, 5.5 thousand. I think that's our biggest. I think that's our best performing short so far. So.
Nice. That's funny.
Nice. Which one is it? I gotta look that one up.
I think it's let's see here.
I can post it in the link below this video. I'll find it.
I can pull it up. Let me pull it up.
Must be an older one. I'm scrolling.
I'm scrolling. Yeah, Tom posts.
Just go to most popular.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah,
I love it. It's so good. It's the spray and pray method.
Yeah, it was finding your own path in the market.
And who's speaking on that one?
That's Colby.
Oh,
the fans love Colby.
Dude, I'd tell him the truth, baby. This shit fucking sucks.
Do you want to play? Do you want to play it?
I'll play it. Yeah. Let's see. Funny. Fact that I stand by the fact that if you literally just put yourself in a black room and it was just locked in there for 3 years, you would absolutely be a million times better than if you could see how everyone else trades and hear all these cliches. Trend is your friend. Bro, I stand by the fact that. Fuck was that, bro? It's the dumbest short I ever saw. Why the fuck are people watching that shit?
Flashback, like a time portal
that's
back to that day.
yeah, that's what we were saying today, though. That's what you were saying today. Yeah, just not looking at other people's trading, just kind of focusing on yourself.
Yeah,
But
So important.
important.
Nice.
Comparison is only useful to a certain point, I feel like. I think that it's definitely helpful and useful to look at people who are ahead of you or doing things differently than you or better than you or where you want to be, and kind of think about why they're at that point and what they're doing. But as far as like actually comparing yourself to them, I think that's when like the benefits and helpfulness stop.
yeah,
That's
like,
really
oh,
well
he's up 1,000 on the day. I'm up
Yeah.
$100 on the day. Oh, I'm terrible. I should
Mhm.
be up way more than that, or
Yeah.
whatever. That's just
Well, he
yeah, that's
also
not good.
uses 10 times your size and he's in a
Yeah.
$50,000 hole on the month. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to reverse engineer it. I actually like when
Yeah.
it gave me a lot of confidence sometimes when I like reverse engineers Ross Cameron, because I'd be like, wait a second, we basically had like the same percent day. He just used like, you know, $200,000 on that trade. And like, that's why he made, you know, 20K. And I was like, wow, I literally just need to size up, but like my stats are
Mhm.
looking good now.
he talks
Yeah.
about that all the time too. He made a video, God, it might have been last year. He was maybe last spring. That's why it seems kind of close. He was making maple syrup and talking about how the process of like industrial maple syrup making, and that he wanted to emulate what they were doing just on a smaller scale and relating it to trading. He is the king of analogies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of videos about that. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
the same idea. Look at someone who is successful or doing whatever you want to be doing successfully and figure out what little parts of what they're doing can you start doing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't like readjust the scale, it's totally pointless to compare. Like what
Yeah.
Tom was saying, if you're like, oh,
Mhm.
200K, 20K, okay, who's cooler? I mean, obviously the guy
Yeah.
made 200, but like,
You're like, why do I suck so much? Well,
Yeah.
actually, they have like $1 million that they're trading with, and you have about 10,000. So
or just like going into their past. Like if you go to Ross's first videos where he's
Yeah.
making 2K and you're like
yeah,
doing the same trades, you know, now he's making
yeah,
200 or
yeah. There
whatever.
are so many videos way back of him making like a $500 day and being super happy about it.
Yeah, he's got a great channel to go back on. I do that
Yeah.
sometimes. It's an amazing repertoire of videos.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool to see.
Yeah, I have like 10 YouTube videos that are just like in my all-time best, like Matt has money making like 1.2 million. This dude that I follow made like 2 million in trade. You know, the Ross videos, like, oh man, when I get sick of The Big Short, The Wolf of Wall Street, and The Boiler Room, those are what I'm going to.
Yeah.
One day, film coming soon, the Insider Trading Podcast.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we probably have to call it here before it gets too long.
Yep.
Cool.
Sounds
But great
good.
conversation.
Yep.
Good
Yeah,
chat.
that was a good one.
That was great.
Hopefully people like it.
Please like.
Yeah, for real.
See everyone in the comments and see you guys in the Discord.
Yeah,
All right.
boys.
Sounds
Good
good.
week,
Take it
everyone.
easy. Bye bye.
you guys.
Ciao, ciao.